Live from New York, it's the show that listened to Cameron's new song 4 times this morning.
He's not going to invite you on the show, man.
I just want, you know what?
Say it.
He might.
It's in Miami.
It's in Vegas.
We start with the Pro Bowl quarterbacks. You know, in 2022, it was Mahomes, Mac Jones, and Justin Herbert. Now this year,
That's misleading. That's not who was named.
there's a picture of those were the 3. I'm updating you. I'm just setting the stage, and now I'm going to bring it to current day.
Football reference.
This year, Tua, Lamar, and Mahomes, one of 5 Chiefs selected for the honor. It's his 6th straight year as a Pro Bowler, which caused some people to say balderdash. Josh Allen, ranked as the top Pro Bowl snub. Record the same, passing yards a little bit, interceptions not that far off. Josh got 2 more. And then the rushing touchdowns are where it really jumps out. Mahomes has 0. Josh Allen has 15.
League record.
I mean,
That's
it's
a league
something.
record. Tied with Jalen Hurts for league record.
So the question is, did Mahomes deserve the Pro Bowl nod?
You know, this is a bad job by me. I got to admit, because I try to be, and Brew is a hard guy to surpass on this, but I try to be the most prepped person in sports TV. And Brew is, if it's not me, it's him, basically every
Or
day.
me.
Well, no, you have a different.
You're just jolly.
Yeah, you know,
whatever happens, you got jokes.
I mean, you might be the most valuable member of the staff, but as far as like note taking everything,
I wouldn't
when you guys said on the morning meeting. We were talking Pro Bowl and snubs. Maybe I was distracted or whatever. I assume we're talking about the big snub of L'Jarius Sneed missing it for Jalen Ramsey, who played 9 games. Like, give me a break, America. That might be first team All-Pro corner. Give me a break. But with that said, I can address this here. Here's the deal, guys. Bills fans think that Nick Wright has it out for Josh Allen. That Nick Wright.
Why.
Well, let me ask you this. Does Nick Wright have a Pro Bowl vote? No. But yet, despite that, 2 of the last 3 years, the voters have surveyed the landscape and said, does Josh Allen deserve to be a Pro Bowler? And they, not me, said no. And we can show you the why. Show us Josh's numbers as a passer. Now, Brew and your graphic make a strong case that maybe he should have gotten consideration as a running back, because those rushing touchdowns are quite impressive. But as a passer, those are not Pro Bowl numbers. And as far as did Mahomes take his spot, here's the part that maybe Bills fans and other football fans might not want to hear. They can say it's unfair. I'm just here to be a truth teller. Mahomes' spot is not up for grabs, not up for debate, and it's his until he's not in his prime. That's just how it works. Peyton Manning, from 2002-2014, there were 13 Pro Bowls played. He made it 12 times. The one time he didn't, he was hurt. Aaron Rodgers, from 2011 to 2021, there were 11 Pro Bowls played. He made 9. The 2 he didn't, he missed half or most of the season. Tom Brady, from 2009 to 2018, there were 10 Pro Bowls played. He made all of them. When you are the guy, you're a Pro Bowler. You're not always the MVP. You're not always All-Pro. You're a Pro Bowler. What's unfortunate for these other quarterbacks is Mahomes' prime started his rookie year. And so he's just a Pro Bowler every year that he's healthy. So the real beef would be Allen versus Tua, because Lamar has to be there and Mahomes is auto in.
So not because of performance, but just because of what you just said about Mahomes.
If you're the best player in the league, you make the Pro Bowl. I don't set the rules. Those are the rules.
If you don't have the best year, and I'm a Mahomes guy. I'm just saying, if you want to say, go ahead, make it.
No, what I'm saying is when you are a first ballot, no doubt, Hall of Fame quarterback, of which right now there's only one active. Aaron Rodgers would be the other, but Mahomes is the only one that is that. Lamar might be a week away from it, sure. You make Pro Bowl every year. And that's what it was for Manning, for Brady, for Rodgers, the other guys in that group. So he's always going to be there unless he's injured or his prime's over. Yeah. And neither is the case.
Here's the only thing I would disagree with, possibly. And I don't expect Mahomes to have this type of year next year. But if he does this next year, and there are 3 other guys that are like, oh my gosh, they're having great years, that might change. It might. I don't know. Because I think this year he did kind of get that historic benefit of the doubt. But if he has a second bad year, what we call a bad year by his standards, maybe it'll change. Maybe. But I don't think Allen was snubbed. And I don't even like to use the word snub, because snub, I think, is when, oh my gosh, how in the world did he not make
what happened to L'Jarius Sneed?
I mean, somewhat, maybe.
Yeah.
But this, I can't look at obviously Lamar is going to be the MVP. Mahomes, because he's Patrick Mahomes, but also because his numbers passing-wise are just pretty much as good, the same as Josh's. And Tua, look, the three best, in my view, the three quarterbacks that do the most for their teams, that drive their teams, are in AFC: Lamar, Mahomes, and Josh Allen.
Sure.
And fourth, I would say, would be C.J. Stroud.
Okay.
But if you're talking about Pro Bowl, who's had the best seasons, Tua, I can't punish him because he's got Tyreek and Mostert and all these other guys, Jalen Waddle. He leads their numbers.
Yeah.
But Tua leads the AFC in 5 categories.
Yeah.
Yards total, yards per game, touchdown passes, completion percentage, passer rating. He leads the conference. How in the world am I going to leave him off and his team's guaranteed to make the playoffs? Now, Josh, the 15 touchdowns. It's like, man, this dude's breaking the record for touchdowns by a quarterback. So is Jalen Hurts. They're tied. Yeah. And neither of them made the Pro Bowl, which is interesting. Hurts is different because those are the push touchdowns. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Josh's are really.
Those still count.
I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying Josh's are more impressive just because he's running 10 yards sometimes.
They seem like they're less guaranteed touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's close. And I'm going to say this, Nick. I'm going to I tried to be consistent. Why is Lamar going to win the MVP? They got a great record. They're the number 1 seed. Yeah. And the eye test. It's not numbers. Yeah. It's the eye. Now, he's had the injuries. You can factor that in, and he's still doing work. But the eye test. We're watching the games, and this guy's dominant. I don't care that he only had 1 touchdown. Yeah. He dominates the game. When I look at the eye test between Mahomes and Allen, because to me, it's Mahomes versus Allen. It's Mahomes.
100%.
Allen is as dynamic, and he'll make a play here or there. But I'm always on the edge of my seat, like, man, is this dude gonna blow it? And so the eye test is with Mahomes, so that's why I would
That's
go
old news. That's old news. I read about that in Sports Illustrated years ago.
Oh. Yeah, I did say it's the best.
You have to keep the stuff fresh. You've been saying that for years. You're the
Who
first
said that? Me? Yeah.
You've been saying that for years.
Can we just
apologize to the viewers?
But I don't know if we can do it real quick before we move on. Put up the Mahomes-Allen side by side again that we started the segment with.
Yeah.
I do think it is telling that from just the passing numbers, Mahomes is better. And we are talking. No, of course it's close. But the conversation surrounding them was so different. Because a week ago, the conversation surrounding Josh was, might he steal MVP? 2 weeks ago, before Lamar really seized it. Might he steal MVP? And the conversation surrounding Mahomes is the Chiefs' offense is broken. And yet, despite all of that, and the last thing
and Mahomes, can you imagine if he had Stephon Diggs?
Well, and the other thing that I would say is I think Mahomes' poor play has cost the Chiefs 1 game. I do put that Raider game on. But Mahomes made a critical mistake, and some could argue 2, depending on who you put the fumble on. Josh has cost the Bills 4 games this year. 4 games direct that they should not have lost, directly related to his mistakes.
And they might not make the playoffs.
And they might not make the playoffs. So for all those reasons, I know that it was shocking to people because some in the media were trying to sell that Josh Allen might be the league's MVP, but the right 3 quarterbacks made it in the AFC.
I buy that. Bills favored in Miami Sunday night. Must win.
That was it? Well, I actually thought he was saying what he saw Coach Mangini say yesterday.
Which is what?
We've been in the playoffs for a month.
Yeah, that's what he did say that.
Must win, that's what you took. Yeah. This is actually a must win, though.
Yeah, well
your must wins are like,
kind of. Do Bills deserve to be road favorites? They're favored this game.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh.
And I know they're up and down, and I know we have no idea which Bills team is going to show up. But yes, 1,000 times yes. Because you know what we do know? Miami can't hang with the big boys. All right? They can't, I mean, unless you Dallas on
Are we sure Buffalo's a big
Dallas boy? They beaten some of the top teams in the league, and including Miami, 48-20.
Yep.
I know it was early in the year, but still, that was the same Buffalo that's like this. So they pounded them, number 1. They are the more desperate team. I get it, Miami wants to win, and I'm sure they're trying to say we got to win this game to get the 2 seed, but they aren't saying it like the Bills. Because the Bills absolutely need to win this game. You can't put it in another team's hands. Also, as I said, Miami 1-4, Nick, against teams with winning records. Dallas they beat. Good win, but Dallas we know isn't great on the road. I'm not going to go and kill the Cowboys right now. And then Miami 18 points a game against those good teams. Give up 35. And Buffalo, as we said yesterday, don't get blown out. They do not get blown out.
No, I don't think Miami would blow them out. I don't think Buffalo deserves to be road favorites, and I think that early season game has distorted our perception of how close, since Mike McDaniel's come to Miami, that Miami's played the Bills. They played 3 times last year, including the playoff game. Last year, Miami won the first matchup by 2. Buffalo won the second matchup by 3. And then in the playoff game, with Skylar Thompson playing quarterback, Buffalo won by 3 in, I think it was 37-34. A high-scoring game where Miami's offense, since Mike McDaniel's gotten there, moves the ball in this Buffalo defense. So even in that, listen, the Bills dominated that first matchup on the scoreboard, and I'm not trying to act like Miami outplayed them, but for a 48-20 game, the yardage was 414 to 393. Miami,
but you know why that is a lot.
What?
I mean, when you're down,
no, but it wasn't that. But it was Miami was. But I understand, but that's not the. Sometimes that happens. That wasn't the context of that game. Miami was moving the ball in the first half and scored multiple touchdowns. What happened in that game was 2 key turnovers that gave the Bills short fields. On yards per play basis, the Bills were 7.4, Miami was 6.8. The point I'm making is this is not one of those divisional matchups that one team just dominates the other one. And so I think that I understand last year is last year, but it's a lot of the same players, same coaches, same personnel. And so, no, I do. And to me, Buffalo, they have the good fortune of when they are discussed, we talk about so much more than we do with other teams, their A-plus performances. And to me, they've had 2 this year. One was against Miami and the game against Dallas. About once every 2 months, the Bills look like the team that the media pretends they are every week. Yeah. And so I do not think in a game that is wildly important for Miami, and by the way, if I'm wrong and Pittsburgh loses on Saturday, then the game is equally as important for both teams. Both teams are in the playoffs, and both teams get the 2 seed without it and drop to the 6 or 7.
I mean, they might lose anyway, but
they could lose.
I think they better.
Josh Allen against Mike McDaniel's Dolphins, 4 games, including the playoffs. He's out here cooking, though.
Yep.
Almost 400 yards, 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I feel like, you know, what does Coach Mangini say? He's a make-it-happen quarterback, make it happen for you or the other team. But he's making it happen for the Bills if he's only throwing the ball to the Dolphins 2 times.
In the playoff game, though, 3 fumbles. Hold on, but what that doesn't include is in the playoff game, 3 fumbles, 2 fumbles lost. And I just think people are misremembering how well every time Mike McDaniel's gone up against Sean McDermott's defense, how well his teams move the football. And so I just don't think that in a game in Miami in good conditions that the Bills defense is going to all of a sudden shut this team down.
You are right that they played them tough. I was shocked at what happened earlier in the season.
Yeah.
Like, I thought Miami was right there with them.
All right, so we'll talk about Miami's defense. 3 catches for 58 yards, so not too much. Are you expecting a monster game from Tyreek?
No.
Oh.
And I agree with what McDermott said for the most part. I'd have to go back to 20 years and see who was in. But he is a top 5 receiver. I think he was legitimately in the MVP race, especially earlier in the year. He's awesome. But if you look at his numbers this year, he hasn't been, and I hate to strike this same theme, but it's been against the bad teams.
That's fair.
Look at against the good teams, five games against teams over 500. Just 37 catches. That's similar to the rate with the others. But only 76 yards a game, 1 touchdown in 5 of those games, and 10 yards per catch versus 18 against the tomato cans. And in none of those games did he have 100 yards. He only had, as you see, 1 touchdown. That was against Philadelphia. And so the good teams, good defenses, they focus on him and they know how to keep him under wraps, so to speak. So I don't think he's going to bust out. His bust out games were against Carolina and teams like that.
So I was smiling when you were doing it because you and I have shockingly similar graphics with very different assessments. Because I have Tyreek in wins and losses. And in wins, he dominates. And you know when the Dolphins don't win? When Tyreek doesn't dominate. Now, those aren't the exact same games as you're talking about because obviously they beat Dallas. But the key to beating the Dolphins is keep Tyreek Hill under wraps. And I listened to Josh Allen. These are playoff games. And I've seen Tyreek Hill against the Bills in the playoffs, and he cooks them.
Cooking time.
Tyreek Hill in his first playoff game against the Bills, 9 for 172. Tyreek Hill in his second playoff game against the Bills, 11 for 150 and a touchdown. And Tyreek Hill last year with Skylar Thompson throwing him the ball, 7 for 70. No touchdown, which is not much, but again, that was a different spot. And so I think that the key to stopping Miami is less about they can't beat teams with winning records, and it's more about what makes Miami Miami, and the reason that I was so, staunchly a Tyreek Hill versus Tua supporter in the MVP discussion when they were both in it was, I think if you slow down Tyreek Hill, you slow down Miami. I think it is as simple as that. Mm-hmm. What makes them a special team is and when Bruce said, and I don't want to, correct me if I'm wrong, when you said he's top 5 receiver, you weren't talking about right now. You were talking about all time, a top 5 receiver. What makes them special is the only, maybe along with Ramsey, but the only surefire first ballot, no doubt Hall of Famer they have on their team who's still in the prime of his career. I don't think Russell Douglas, shout out to him, AFC Defensive Player of the Week, is going to have the same success against him. I think that not having Tre'Davious White, I know they haven't had him for most of the year, I don't trust these Bills corners to be able to slow down Tyreek Hill in good conditions in a game Miami's got to have. I think Tyreek Hill's going to have a great game, and it's why I think Miami's going to win. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.